The first major appointment of Leo XIV's pontificate has arrived. The appointment of the new prefect of the dicastery for bishops. Here's what it really means and what it tells us about the future of the Church. Stay tuned. An announcement that shatters the apparent calm of recent months comes from Rome. Pope Leo XIV has chosen Archbishop Filippo Iannone, a Carmelite and jurist, as the new prefect of the dicastery for bishops and president of the Pontifical Commission for Latin America. The date has already been set, October 15th, 2025, and this is no ordinary transition. It's not just a routine appointment, it touches the heart of the Vatican machine, the body that decides who will lead dioceses around the world. It is the first major gesture of the new pontificate and inevitably brings with it interpretations and questions. Anyone familiar with curial dynamics knows there's nothing neutral about such an announcement. Iannone comes from years of working as head of the dicastery for legislative texts, where he developed a reputation as a meticulous man, accustomed to rules, but certainly not devoid of his own vision. The task he now receives, however, is not limited to interpreting norms. It means exercising direct influence on the choice of future bishops and therefore on the very face of the Church in the coming decades. The official statement simply states that the Holy Father has appointed Archbishop Filippo Iannone, until now prefect of the dicastery for legislative texts, as the new prefect of the dicastery for bishops and president of the Commission for Latin America, effective October 15th, 2025. A few lines, dry but with an enormous specific weight. In this beginning, more than the biographical or curriculum data, the signal emerges. Leo XIV is taking action, and he does so by choosing an Italian, a canonist, a cleric, but above all, a man who for years has interpreted and safeguarded the laws. Is this perhaps a return to order or a tightening of the rules? Or is it the premise of more prudent management after the turbulent passages of recent pontificates? To understand the significance of this decision, we must look at what Leo XIV did in his first months in office. It should not be forgotten that the Pope himself, between 2023 and 2025, directly headed the dicastery for bishops, a sign of how much he considers this sector vital for the balance and future of the Church. Now, by handing over that responsibility to Iannone, the Pope seems to be signaling a change of pace. No longer direct control, but rather handing it over to a trusted and experienced man. The choice says a lot. On the one hand, Leo XIV does not want to give up the weight of this institution, but on the other, he recognizes the need to entrust it to a stable leadership. It is a transition that recalls his style. No sudden changes, but rather a gradual design where authority remains firm, but an effort is made to ensure continuity. Filippo Iannone is no ordinary name. A 67-year-old Carmelite and trained as a lawyer, he has followed a path that unites religious life with the rigor of canon law. From 2018 until today, he has led the dicastery for legislative texts, a role often hidden from the general public, but of crucial importance. There, norms are examined, canons are interpreted, and the juridical boundaries of the universal Church are defined. It's not a headline-grabbing task, but it's a role that shapes a mindset, precision, determination, and the ability to navigate a terrain where words must carry as much weight as decisions. If you appreciate our outreach service and believe in the values of truth and transparency, please purchase a super thank you. Each piece of content requires commitment, study, and dedication, and our work is entirely self-funded. Your support helps us continue this mission. Thank you so much. With his new appointment, Iannone is thrust into a much more exposed role. The dicastery for bishops is the heart of the system, the crucible where the dioceses are decided. This is not just about administration, but about shaping the face of Catholicism in the world. His experience as a guardian of the law could now translate into a more rigorous episcopal selection, more attentive to compliance with the rules and perhaps less open to local compromises. The fact that Leo XIV chose him is no coincidence. He's Italian, knows the Vatican machinery well, and has already demonstrated his ability to navigate the Curia's corridors without needlessly exposing himself. But he is also a religious man, with roots in the Carmelite order, and this brings with it a different balance than the exclusively diplomatic or academic profiles that have often occupied the dicasteries. His figure, therefore, appears as a bridge between the rigor of the norm and the spiritual dimension, between legal technique and monastic tradition. The question that remains is whether this balance will lead to a more solid and uniform episcopate, or whether it will instead risk rigidifying the selection criteria, reducing the space for new and prophetic figures. Iannone's appointment doesn't close the debate, it opens it, and resoundingly. Alongside the new prefect, the Pope has decided to maintain the internal balance of power within the dicastery. Archbishop Ilson de Jesus Montanari remains secretary, and Archbishop Ivan Kovac continues as undersecretary, both confirmed for another 5-year term. A choice that at first glance might seem marginal, but which in reality reveals the desire not to overly affect the already well-oiled mechanisms. It should not be forgotten that Montanari and Kovac are key figures in the day-to-day management of the dicastery. They prepare the paperwork, monitor the dossiers, and guide the initial evaluations of episcopal appointments. Confirming them means ensuring continuity to a system that already functions according to the guidelines established by the Pope in past years. This is therefore not a neutral gesture, but a precise signal. Leo XIV wants to change the political leadership of the dicastery, but not dismantle its operational apparatus. Looking ahead, Iannone's appointment and the confirmation of his collaborators open up complex scenarios for the universal church. Some, especially in Latin America and Western Europe, have pushed in recent years for greater autonomy and a more pronounced synodal model. Now with a dicastery led by a canonist known for his rigor, it's reasonable to expect tensions between the center and the periphery. The dicastery for bishops is not just a Roman office. It is the control room that decides who will lead the Catholic communities spread across 5 continents. Every choice affects millions of faithful and determines whether pastors faithful to tradition or figures more inclined to pastoral and doctrinal experimentation will prevail in the dioceses. The future, in short, promises no peace. The choice of Leo XIV sends a strong message. Episcopal appointments are once again under strict Roman surveillance. But whether this will lead to a church more faithful to the magisterium or to new internal divisions, future history will tell. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.